Hi everyone, my name is Suhey with Suhey Plans, and today I'm showing you a DIY social media planner that I made for myself using an A5 grid notebook. There were a few purchased note planners out there that I was looking at for social media, but I was kind of on this creative kick, and in fairness, there is no real bound planner out there that has exactly what I need. And I really like using notebooks for social media more so than rings, but I know that there's less customization possible in a bound planner. So, to kind of overcome that hurdle, and because I had this creative itch, so to speak, I just created my own social media planner in this A5 Stalogy grid notebook in the 365. So, enough paper essentially for a year's worth of planning. So, we start with a very traditional planner owner page. I wanted this to feel like something that I could purchase in a store. And so here is the very first page in my planner after the thicker paper cover is just a nameplate page. I thought that would be a nice, simple, and appropriate way to kick off. After that, I have two blank grid pages that I'm intending to use for vision boarding, but there's some flexibility here as well if I change my mind, so I kind of left these two pages blank. After that, I jump into a 2-page spread with a 2023 and 2024 calendar annual calendar at a glance. The left hand, this is a printable from Noted Co., and this is a printable from Crefective Paper. She already has her some of her 2024 line out, so I was able to print this. I printed them on vellum and cut them to size, rounded the corners, and then just using some double-sided glue. Let's see if I can find that for you. Okay, using some double-sided glue. This is called Zig Memory System 2-way glue, squeeze and roll. Just a little bit of glue on the corners, and it's really it really dries invisibly, this glue, so you can't see it. But I thought this would be useful to have the 2 years out of view. I'm filming this video at the end of July, and so I'll probably use this planner for the rest of 2023 going into 2024. And again, these printables are available now, so why not include them in here? All right. Then after that, I have a quarterly planning spread with July through September, October to December, January, March, April, June, just for figure out and some priorities and some things I want to focus on for these different months in the year. And I think, most planners have some kind of quarterly planning, and I didn't want to leave that out for my social media planner either. So after that, I have a very specific design to my needs. Again, something that I think is just so wonderful about using a notebook. I wanted to set up some trackers. The left-hand side, I currently have a goal of reaching 10K followers on Instagram, and I'm trying to track my progress over time through the rest of 2023. On the right-hand side, I know I want to continue tracking. I'm hopeful through hard work and perseverance that I can reach my goal by the end of 2023. And then I'll have something for 2024 that I haven't quite figured out yet, but that I want to work on. So I gave this second page just a rough outline, so I know I want to continue tracking some kind of a goal here. So now we're going to jump into our actual monthly spreads. So on the left-hand side, I have a kind of like a finance tracking insert that I'm using for content creation and all of my affiliate relationships. So I've got my date, the client or the partner I'm working with, the project and description, how much the payment is for, and whether or not it's been paid out. Really bare bones, very simple, but I think this should really just work for my needs. And using just some highlighter to differentiate between rows. And this, again, I'm not like, it's not a crazy side hustle, so this really should suffice for my needs. But I do like to keep track of what I'm earning through my affiliate relationships. So this is going to reflect that kind of financial tracking for the month of August. Once again, I've cut out a vellum. This was a freebie from Lucy Plans Life from joining her Facebook page. And she has an entire collection for every month of the year in 2023. And I just printed this out, again, using that two-way glue. Once again, to lightly glue the corners and stick this in. And I think it looks really nice on like an awesome dashboard. You can do so much when you're creating your own planner with a notebook. This is my design from cover to cover, right? And this beautiful freebie, printed it on vellum and just stuck it right into my planner. It's lovely. So after that, I've got a 2-page spread with a monthly overview for my social media planning. Every month I try to focus on 4 priorities, 4 things that I want to focus on, 4 things that I want to feature. It's very important to me to be value focused or value oriented in what I'm sharing on social media. And so this allows me to be very intentional about that. I've got a section for notes down here. And then on the left-hand side is just a horizontal view of the month of August. I could have done this in a vertical landscape, but it just fits so much better in a horizontal. And this is not my personal like life planner per se, so I'm not writing a lot in here. This is really just to kind of jot down small notes, really small things that are happening in here. So I thought a horizontal orientation would really meet my needs. And I think it's just laid out with some nice spacing to fill the page in a really appropriate way. Mind you, and if you haven't already noticed, or if you know my planning style, I have very neat handwriting. So that kind of helps to create something that looks very polished, something that looks very finished. I can write very neatly, and that's something that just aids in putting this together. Not saying that my girlies who don't have good handwriting or consider themselves not to have good handwriting, because I know that that's extremely subjective. Don't let that stop you. There are plenty of script stickers and like date stickers out there that you can use instead. So after our monthly overview on 2 pages, we jump into 2 Cornell note style like blank grid here. And I'm just using this for anything and everything related to what might have happened or is happening in the month of August. And I think a 2-page spread is ample time. I didn't want to jump right into the weekly. I wanted just some wiggle room for some extra space, but not a tremendous amount. I think a 2-page spread in an A5 is ample room. After that, we go into the weekly spread. So I've got a Monday through Sunday view here. I have a vertical orientation with a column on the right for notes. For me, it's really important to track my posts or know what I'm posting ahead of time. And it's also important to me to engage in my stories. I think, my planner friends and the people that I'm really close to and the folks that I really like to be inspired by, they share in their stories. And I want to make sure that I'm being intentional about sharing in my stories as well. Then the last column at the bottom here is really open-ended. Some days I won't have much here. Other days, maybe I'll make this a to-do. Maybe like on a weekend when I have some time, I'll make this a content creation day, and I'll list some things that I want to create. So this gives me some flexibility to do other things throughout the week, but the standard and the things that I'm focused on every day is making sure I'm sharing posts and in my stories. I've got the date here at the top. This is very much inspired by the Sterling Ink Common Planner, to give credit where credit is due. I really liked that layout, and I was really inspired by some of the things that she has in her planner to create my own. I'm thinking of using this space to track followers. Sometimes I like to, if I have a post on a Friday, let's say, that I'm really excited about, I like to post what my follower count was the day at the start of the day, and then what my follower count was after that post, just to see whether if it was as impactful as I thought it was. Sometimes, if you're on social, if you're doing reels and you're doing posts, you get really excited about content and then it falls on its face. And that's okay. But this will kind of help me understand some patterns and what's working and what my audience is interested in seeing. So then after the weekly spread, we've got blank grid for brainstorming, notes, ideation, anything and everything related to content creation for that particular week. And we are pretty much at the point where the planner continues. Week on 2-page vertical, blank grid. Week on 2-page vertical, 2-page blank grid. Week on 2-page vertical, blank grid. A few things that I'll note is I tried using a midliner that I thought was a little bit on the lighter side, because there is a lot of ghosting that can happen sometimes. But as I'll kind of show you soon, that could change. You can make whatever color schemes you want when you're creating your own. So after the last weeks, we go back into the layout continues and starts to repeat. Again, one of these beautiful Lucy Plans Life dashboards for September. The financial kind of tracker here on the left. We jump into the monthly view on 2 pages. And the Cornell Notes style brainstorming pages for the month. And then we jump into the weekly spreads once again. All right. And I'm up to October in this. So I love this dashboard from Lucy Plans Life. It's such October vibes, such spooky season vibes, but I felt like the other highlighter color wasn't right. So I'm switching to gray for the month of October. Right. And again, that is the beauty of doing this yourself and just making this your own. You can choose your colors. They can change from month to month exactly to what you want them to be. And that is where I'm at in putting together this planner. I'm really excited by what I've created so far. And, I really think that this has everything that I need for my social media planning, right? Of course it does. It's designed for me by me. I'll give you some kind of pointers before we wrap up, and I'll kind of just flip through as I go with some of those pointers, just to give you one more flip through. And I also have a pencil board here that might help with to avoid some of that shadowing, to give you a better idea of what the page looks like. One thing I'll say is I did not just wake up one day and start creating this. I brainstormed extensively. I thought about what I needed to have in my social media planner. I brainstormed what it would feel like to flip through it from cover to cover. I looked at my old social media planners, what was working there. I took inspiration from other planners that I've had or that I've been exposed to, and I tried to take all those elements together in putting together something that really worked for me. I kept my whiteout handy, a ruler, A pen in a .38 I think works really well for this paper at least. And I tried to take my time. I tried not to rush it, but mistakes still happen, and I kind of adjusted accordingly. You probably can't even pick up on the mistakes that I've made, but they're there, and that's okay. I'm not too hard on myself about that either. I'll never finish the project or finish creating the planner if I get too hung up on everything being perfect. Some other things I will say: probably take the most time with dating and numbers. And again, if you don't love your own handwriting very much, there are plenty of sticker kits out there that you can use instead. The vertical layout is something that I explored and that I knew would work for me. And again, don't just open a notebook and go for it. Really think about what would work for you and what you'd want to see in your own designed planner. For example, I think something too about bound planners is that you don't get to choose. There are a lot of elements here that I could have found in other planners, but I don't get to choose how things are laid out, what order they are in. And so that's something really nice about creating my own. I got to choose exactly the order of my months, of my weeks, and of my brainstorm pages. I personally prefer my brainstorming notes on a week to be right after them. It just makes the most sense for me. I don't think it makes a lot of sense in my brain to plan for a week and then have to flip back to try to find the notes for that particular week. So that was a big motivation for trying to create my own. What else will I say? Take your time. Feel free to add all kinds of fun decorative elements, but also know that once they're in, and you do have to commit to them. So make sure that you like them, especially if you're planning on gluing anything in like I did. I just don't like things coming out or having things be all over the place. So for me, I needed to glue them in, but that's okay because I love these dashboards and I'm super excited to use them in this way. Think about orientations. Not everything needs to be vertical. You can play with horizontal layouts when you have something that you're creating yourself. This notebook costs me about $18 on Amazon. And an equivalent planner would have been at least $50, right? So, but time is money, and it does take time to create something like this. So you kind of have to weigh out your priorities. I've been going through some personal things, and I found that working on this planner was such a wonderful creative outlet. All of the things that I was stressed about just were put on pause while I was working on putting this together. Right, so if you've got like some room in your schedule for a fun project, this is definitely something that you can try as well. The ghosting, and this is Stalogy paper, so it's very thin, but that doesn't really bother me. But it was important for me to kind of do this flip through before I started writing in it, because I think it's just easier to see the layout when everything is blank. I made sure to have a ruler, a pencil, an eraser, some whiteout, a highlighter, really, and a notebook. And that's really all that I needed to put this together. So I'd love to answer any questions that you might have, or if you're looking for some advice on how to create your own, I'd be happy to help. Really quickly, this is once again a 365, and this is in the Superior Labor A5 notebook cover in the black leather. And I am just absolutely loving and super, super excited to jump into my personalized, just for me, social media planner. Thank you so much for watching. It was a little chatty, but I'd love to hear what you think, or any comments, questions. If you're thinking about making your own, I'd love to help out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all soon.